Hey everybody, it's me, Jesse Martineau. Today we're going to take a long exposure photo that I took recently at a sunset. As you can tell, this is a sunset, where the sun sets that way. We get some pretty incredible sunsets here in Alberta. Because we live so far north, they last for a long time and they're very late. I took this at about 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I know it says 11:54 p.m. That's wrong. And I'm just going to walk you through how I would edit this photo. Now, the first thing I always do is start to straighten my pictures. Always, always, always. There we go. Then you want to find your white balance. This is pretty close. I just like to see what the computer does to it. That's kind of cool too. The thing about long exposure photography is that the filter that you put in front of the lens is going to kind of color cast the whole scene. Unless you have a really good filter, which I don't. I have a decent one, but it does cast a bit. So you got to fix the color balance a little into the range. Another thing is we're creating an image, so I don't mind if people start to play with their color balance. Like this, obviously, well, that's your thing. But I like to keep it somewhat natural. And you can see like the original raw file. Like that is what I captured right there. So it was a crazy sunset. Anyway, I'm going to dial that up a little there. And there's a couple ways to go about this. You can just like kind of pull up the exposure to get your things and then try to dial out the highlights. I actually like to go the opposite way. I dial down, scroll down here to your light section, and I dial that up. Now this is going to be blown out, so I got some work to do here. I might not even be able, I haven't edited this one first, so it's going to be kind of a learning curve for both of us. So I'm just playing around right now trying to get the right, and I got the highlights dialed way back to get the just so they're not, whoops, make sure they're not blowing out. What I'm going to have to do is go in here with a brush, kind of bring them down a bit so I can control them a little better. All right, let's start with that. That's kind of my base. Now I want to actually start to paint in light where I want it to be. I want this reflection to come out. So I'm going to brush in some extra. See, my exposure is just up a half point there. Let's get some extra. All right, do another brush. Paint in some more. I'm always just using the brush to kind of add in some textures and stuff. There we go. I'm trying to get it even. One thing I forgot to do, this will actually really help, is turn on the fixed lens. It removes the vignetting there, see that? So that's good. Want that. Dial that up a tiny bit. Now we're going to start messing around with clarity. Now, I've told you before, like, don't just jack that up to crazy amounts. If you're going to do it globally, because this is affecting global, just a little bit, 5, 10. If you want to affect areas, which I do here, just to bring out some stuff, then you can dial, see what it does there? You can dial it up a little bit. The thing about a long exposure is that it's meant to be smooth. So the clarity makes it more clear. It makes it more kind of sharp. So you kind of want to avoid that for these kind of images. Also, if you do it over like a tree or something, you're going to halo really bad. And that looks just horrible. I'm just adding in a little bit here. And if you realize you don't like it, you can always just delete the brush or hold Alt and erase it. Or you, oops, didn't want to do that. Or you can kind of let your edge run over it and it'll blend it in a little bit. That's what I'm going to do there. Now we're going to play with the colors a little bit, just to get a little extra light. If you crank these like this, they will kind of blow out on you and not look good anymore. I've got a bit of a cold. I would apologize, but there's nothing that was my fault about the cold. I've come to terms with it. Hopefully it goes away, though, soon. And so you can see I'm not really actually doing a ton. I brought out some of the light in this. I've straightened it a little bit, but other than that, I haven't done a lot. If you want to start getting even crazier, you can add in some of these. This is controlling the tint of the shadows. So, you can go extreme either way. Let's reset that. You can always reset by just double clicking and play with it just a little bit. I don't want it too crazy. Alrighty. Just putting a little bit green back in there. Now the contrast obviously would give it some craziness to it, but this image, I really don't need to do a ton with it. There we go. All right. Not too hard, is it? To actually make these pop a little more. I have a little bit more work to do with it. Specifically, the spot removal, which is a pain, but you have to do it because your photo will look dumb if you don't. Fortunately for me, I really didn't pick up too many of those little dots, so I'm good. All right. There we go. I'm happy, almost. I just saw something else here. This bottom edge I wanted to bring up a little bit more. There. I'm happy with that. Pretty crazy sunset. Clouds are moving a bit. The water was nice and calm and gave off a nice reflection. And then, of course, the colors of the sun. So here's the before. And here's the after. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm going to put a speed version of this up too, so you can just kind of watch it and see how it comes to life. The one thing I want to say is just don't be afraid to start playing with some of these sliders. You can always hit Control-Z and undo what you just did. Or you can right-click on it and create a virtual copy, which literally just duplicates that image, and you can reset one of them, and then you have an original there too, so you don't have to worry about it. That probably helps you, just so you can play a little bit. I might try another style of editing on this one too, but there you go. That's how you edit a long exposure photo. You can follow me on all these social networks that I'll list in the links below. Please like and subscribe, but most importantly, I'd love it if you left a comment. I love comments, and I try to answer every single one. Any other questions you have, please feel free. I want you to learn as much as possible. Thanks very much for watching, and remember, don't just capture moments, create them.